For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson. When In Living Color debuted in April 1990, no one could predict the cultural phenomenon that it would become. A representative of Black culture in the 90s, white executives would only feel comfortable airing after the success of films like Do the Right Thing, She's Gotta Have It, and even Hollywood Shuffle and I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, which are two projects Keenen Ivory Wayans was heavily involved in, the latter being his directorial debut. With the goal of bringing this energy to television, Keenen knew a freshness was needed. In Living Color would bring Black culture to mainstream television in a revolutionary way. One could make the argument that the series paved the way for other popular Black programming that would come later: The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Living Single, and Martin. Keenen knew the Fly Girls would be an instrumental part of the show's success, and he was right. Rosie, Perez, and Jennifer Lopez are two notable names in the industry that got their start as dancers on the hit sketch comedy show. As big as these two superstars are now, they didn't get off on the right start, often arguing and competing against one another. But their intentions remained pure, as they both wanted to put on the best show possible. Here's how the beef between Rosie Perez and Jennifer Lopez all started. When Keenen Ivory Wayans hired Rosie Perez as the choreographer for the Fly Girls, he gave her two very important instructions. The first, the Fly Girls had to look good. Their hair, their bodies, their clothes, they needed to represent the entire package. The second was that he wanted them to dance like MC Hammer. Rosie would respond by saying, "Then you should hire his choreographer. I don't do Hammer, I do me." According to the book, Homie Don't Play That, the story of In Living Color and the Black Comedy Revolution by David Presner, when Perez arrived onto the scene, she rubbed some of the other dancers the wrong way, as she was often stern and hard on them. She would frequently butt heads. It was tense when I came in. They'd bonded with previous choreographer. I mean, there wasn't any fighting or anything like that, but it was emotional for them, which is completely understandable. But I was very young, so it took me a minute to digest it. The Fly Girls would rehearse more than 40 hours a week, so they could dance on the show each week for about 2 to 3 minutes. When Rosie came on, she helped to shape the look and the whole style. She was connected to the underground hip hop, so all the dance moves were stuff people hadn't seen yet. They were coming straight out of the clubs. A lot of credit for the Fly Girls goes to her. Keenen Ivory Wayans. As the success of In Living Color continued, Keenen would sign a contract with the Fox network in order to produce new films and television shows. One of the first ideas brought up was called Kick It with the Fly Girls, an intended In Living Color spinoff hosted by Shawn Wayans that would feature live music and dancing. Keenen's intentions were to take the Fly Girls to the next level by having them on a concert tour, make pop albums, and even launching their own fashion line. And in order to accomplish these goals, it was decided that a heavily publicized and well-marketed search for a new Fly Girl who could dance and sing would begin. Thousands of women showed up to the New York audition in line that wrapped around the block. Overwhelmed by the amount that showed up, Rosie Perez claimed Keenen began going through the line and eliminating the women who, according to him, were busted. It's not hard to imagine that some women would have a problem being let go based off their look alone. On the second day of auditions, Perez recalls seeing Jennifer Lopez for the first time, who she described as a curvy, heavy-set, big, beautiful girl from the Bronx. She wasn't the best dancer, but definitely had an immense amount of star quality and a stunning face. That's the girl. There are conflicting reports on how Jennifer Lopez became a Fly Girl. According to the book, Keenen didn't agree with Perez initially, and instead wanted to pick a brunette named Carla Garrido. But another account states that Keenen always thought Lopez was the first choice. In order to decide on who became the newest member of the Fly Girls, Keenen decided to let the group vote on who their new girl was going to be. I let what was normally a dictatorship become a democracy, and the votes were not in Jennifer's favor. The Fly Girls chose Garrido. We were on national TV when it happened, so I couldn't do anything except accept the votes. When Lopez wasn't chosen as the Fly Girl, producer of the In Living Color, Eric Gold, wondered if the girls were threatened by Lopez's star power, as Garrido seemed like less of a threat. Jennifer was better by far. Keenen called me right afterwards and said, "We got a problem. I want the other girl." So he ordered me to get Fox to put Jennifer under a holding deal, to hold her for a year until he could put her in. That's what we did. Lopez immediately felt the pressures of joining the In Living Color staff. Rosie Perez recounted in her 2014 memoir, via Homie Don't Play That if Lopez wanted to be a fly girl, she had to slim down and get a haircut. Keenan said if she loses some weight and cuts her hair, let's roll with it. That's the honest truth. Why would I lie about that, I said. Don't make her cut her hair. She's Puerto Rican. You can't do that. Within her first few weeks as a fly girl, it's been reported that Lopez rubbed some of the dancers the wrong way. According to them, they felt the decisions Lopez wanted seemed to be in the best interest of Jennifer Lopez, as opposed to what was best for the fly girls or the show. Within less than 2 weeks, every day almost, all the girls were coming into my office, complaining about how she was manipulating wardrobe, makeup, and me, all to her advantage. One dancer, Karianne Inaba, didn't hold back when being interviewed for Prisoner's book. Jennifer and I never really got along. Jennifer is a very strong personality. That sometimes made it challenging for all of us, including her. She unabashedly goes after what she wants. It's not my style, but I was always impressed with how much she wanted certain things and how she went after them with no apologies. With the addition of Jennifer Lopez to the Fly Girls, the story of In Living Color details the relationship between Rosie Perez and Jennifer Lopez, which seemed to generate its own set of problems. According to Prisoner, Perez worked Lopez very hard, and Lopez didn't always like the criticism coming from Perez. To be fair, according to Perez in her memoir, some of the criticism didn't come from her, but came from Keenan. He would always call me on the red phone reserved for producers during live and pre-tapings, telling me to take her out of a certain number if he thought she looked fat that week or too clunky. Perez would pass along this information to Lopez, but wouldn't say who it came from. Eventually, the anonymous notes became too much for Lopez to bear, and in one instance, according to the book Homie Don't Play That, Lopez stormed into Perez's office. You pick on me and only me every effing day. Every effing day. I work my off, deliver, and you keep pushing me aside, treating me like I know I'm good. I'm better than any of these girls, and you know it. Rosie ran it like a real dictator. She's bossing Jennifer around, and Jennifer's like, F you, let's go into the parking lot right now. This turns into like a Bronx, Brooklyn thing. Rosie's like, F you, I'll kill you. And they're going in the parking lot to fight. Somehow Keenan intervened and it worked itself out. Keenan himself said things never got that bad around the office, but there's no denying there were bad vibes between the two of them. Maybe it was due to the fact that Lopez made her intentions known that being a fly girl wasn't the end for her, but a jumping off point to other projects. She did make her intentions known and that she wanted to act on the show. By the end of the show's 4th season, Rosie Perez left the series, as White Men Can't Jump and Untamed Heart had been released in theaters during that season. Jennifer Lopez would leave after landing reoccurring roles in shows like South Central, Second Chances, and Hotel Malibu between 1993 and 1994. In the final season of the show, the Fly Girls became a less important part of the show. There was only one Fly Girl who was a part of the series for its entire run, and that was Deidre Lane. When Keenan ended up leaving, they put us on the back burner. We weren't as important to the show, not to the writers or whoever was doing it at the time. They'd say, oh girls, you don't have to come in today. We were like, wait a second, we're part of this show too. It got a little sad. The abrupt cancellation of In Living Color definitely left fans, the cast, and crew devastated. Unfortunately, many think In Living Color ended far before its cancellation after the show's 5th season. By the middle of the 4th, most of who were involved with the show had left, missing its original bite. Despite this, the show has developed a long resume of superstar talent that got their start on the show, even though it only lasted 5 seasons. And through it all, we know Rosie Perez and Jennifer Lopez for their phenomenal acting talent and stunning dance moves, as they both displayed longevity in Hollywood till this day. Stay up to date with the latest news and comedy by subscribing here to our YouTube channel, follow Comedy Hype across all social media, and look out for original content on our new streaming service. For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson.